Welcome to the Radio Amateur channel. In part 2 of the Biquad antenna series, I gave you details on how to build a Biquad antenna for 446 MHz for outdoors use. In part 3, I'm showing you how to build an omnidirectional biquad by placing two identical length biquads at 90 degrees to each other. For dimensions of the biquad loops and how to make them, see either part 1 or part 2 of this series. If you plan to use this design indoors, then 12-gauge solid copper wire will probably be sufficient. However, if you plan to use it outside, then you'll need to use 8-gauge wire, especially if you have icy conditions in the winter or you have large birds that like to sit on your antennas. Use either an SO239 or N panel mount connector to mount the biquads on. Take steel wool and buff the center area between the top of each biquad and also the loose ends. If you use 8-gauge solid wire, you'll have to enlarge the SO239 or N panel mount connector mounting holes in order for the wire to fit. Then pre-fit the two biquad loops at 90 degrees to each other. Then fit the four loose ends of the two biquads into the four mounting holes of the connector. Now, before you solder them together, check that all four ends fit firmly in the holes, and the top centers touch each other and the center pin of the connector. Only have enough wire through the holes to make a good connection. I used a bench vise to hold the antenna from moving around when I soldered it together. With the two sets of loops at 90 degrees to each other, solder the top centers between the two loops to the center pin of the connector. If you are using 8-gauge wire, you will need to use a soldering gun or a propane torch set at a low setting. Apply only enough heat to melt the solder and connect the centers between the two loops to the center pin and the four ends in the mounting holes of the connector. To mount the antenna, you will need a 2-foot section of 1-inch PVC tubing. Make 4 equal length vertical slots using either a Dremel tool or a file so the antenna wire will fit firmly or rest into the PVC slots, with the connector inside the tube about 1 inch. Attach a coax jumper with enough extra to reach your coax trunk line. Insert the coax into the tubing and slide the antenna connector side down into the tubing and push the antenna wires into the 4 slots. Then test your SWR, and if you have to make any adjustments, make the adjustments you need. Mine needed no adjustment. To weatherize mine, I used silicone caulk to secure the antenna elements into the slots and to seal the end of the tubing since it was going to be used outside. You will also have to weatherize the biquad elements for outside by using a clear coat spray. And make sure before you do that you buff it with steel wool to get a good coating. If you plan to use it inside, you can just put silicone caulk in the slots to hold the antenna firmly in the tubing. However, if you can come up with another way to mount your antenna that works, great. This isn't a detailed description, but I think you should have success with this if you are careful building it and want to experiment with the antenna some. Have fun with this antenna build, and thanks for coming to the Radio Amateur channel. Like and subscribe, 73.